All right, we're going live on YouTube, so we're famous. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call to order the special called City Council meeting here on November 29th. That was to replace the November 15th meeting that was canceled for lack of a quorum. I've received notice that the council members that aren't here weren't able to make it this evening. And so we'll go ahead and invocation and pledge of allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to come together and do the people's business. Lord, in this time of thanksgiving and celebration, please let us remember those things that we have in our life to be thankful for, and let us dwell on those. Lord, please be with those first responders that protect us. Please be with the armed service members that serve overseas and are away from their family during these holidays. Lord, grant us the wisdom to make the decisions that are in the best interest of our community. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first order of business is the naming of the Mayor's Employee of the Month, which goes to Lieutenant Chris Lester. Chris, come on down. Over here, we're going to put you on the hot seat here. No, I've got a proclamation I'd like to read. It's a proclamation naming Lieutenant Chris Lester as the Mayor's Employee of the Month for October 2021 and declaring December 1st, 2021 to be Lieutenant Chris Lester Day in the city of Maumelle. Whereas Lieutenant Chris Lester has been a law enforcement officer with the Maumelle Police Department since June of 2002, whereas during the month of October, Lieutenant Lester and his shift made 5 arrests resulting in the seizure of 5 guns, several of them belonging to convicted felons and all involving the seizure of narcotics. And whereas Lieutenant Lester has motivated his shift to work diligently and proactively in keeping our community safe, and his efforts to inspire and encourage others around him have contributed to a motivated, resilient, and capable police force. Now, therefore, I, Caleb Norris, Mayor of Maumelle, on this 29th day of November, do hereby declare Lieutenant Chris Lester to be the Mayor's Employee of the Month for October, and hereby proclaim December 1st, 2021 to be Chris Lester Day in the city of Maumelle. So please join me in congratulating Lieutenant Lester. You have a speech?
Well, yeah, about 30 minutes.
Okay. We'll start here at about 8 o'clock. This should have December 1st.
I can have that day off.
Outstanding.
I do have to give credit where credit is due. I'm not extremely deserving of this. I have a really great shift that works for me, and I'd like to give them recognition. Sergeant Long, Officer Waldo, and Officer Nesbitt, they do a really good job, and I appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I think Lieutenant Lester just demonstrated one of the signs of leadership, which is to not necessarily take credit, but to give recognition to the folks that work for him and with him there. So thank you again, Lieutenant Lester. I still am so used to seeing you with a beard that every time I see you, I just think of what a baby face compared to how I used to see you. All right, next up under special guests and announcements is the introduction of our new Economic Development Director. This was supposed to be a little bit earlier, but I'd like to introduce to y'all Courtney Dunn. For those who have not been around a whole long time, you may not know Courtney, but Courtney is no stranger to the city of Maumelle. And I've asked her to tell y'all a little bit about herself, but she's worked for the city before and left us for a little while, but has returned as the prodigal daughter So, I don't know. We're thrilled to have you back, and really excited, as to what you bring to the table. So please introduce yourself to the full city council, all 8 of them that are here.
It's great to be here tonight. I'm super excited to be back in Maumelle where my heart is. I'm excited to be part of the team to move Maumelle forward. So as Caleb mentioned, I've worked here before. So when I was going to college for my degree in public administration, I had to have an internship. So I got an internship in the city clerk's office here in Maumelle. So I worked there from 2010 to 2011, and then the mayor at the time brought me on to be his executive assistant, and then it eventually evolved into me being under the mayor and under Judy Keller, who was the economic development director. So I've completed CDI at the University of Central Arkansas. I completed the basic economic development course at Texas A&M and the Mid-South basic economic development course in Little Rock. I have my PCED certification, Professional Community Economic Developer. I'm currently enrolled at OU EDI, and I'm taking a business retention course right now, which is super exciting. And yeah, I'm excited to be back and move forward. Does anybody have any questions?
Oh, you should have asked that question, because you might actually have some
Anybody
questions.
except Caleb?
And that, of course, you came to us from the, I'm not sure if you mentioned it,
I
the
didn't,
Jacksonville
sorry.
Chamber of Commerce, where you were the executive director of economic development and CEO over there. And it was real neat to see a lot of the progress that they've made under your leadership, and we're excited to have you here. Did I see someone moving a mic forward as though they were?
Thank you, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Courtney. Man, I had her geared up to answer a barrage of questions and said everyone's going to be mean. Tough questions. No. All right. Next up is the approval of the minutes. The first set of minutes I guess we'll look at is the minutes from November 1st. That was in your council packet. If there's no comments on that, I'd entertain a motion to adopt.
So offered. Second.
We've got a motion and a second to adopt the minutes from November 1st, 2021. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. We also had a very interesting meeting on November 15th. You all have a copy of those minutes there. That was interesting in that there were only 3 council members that were able to attend, and I wasn't, which meant we did not have a quorum. So the minutes are there, and I guess we'll go ahead and ask if there's no debate or discussion on those minutes. I'd entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of the November 15th City Council meeting.
So moved. Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. We will move on to financial statement review. Liz, come on down. Are you on the HDMI?
I am. Look at that. There we are. Good evening. Taking a look at our October 31st financial report here. Looking at our revenues in the general fund, our current year-to-date revenue for our county millage tax is $90,000 behind budget year-to-date, $39,000 more than the prior year. Our largest receipts are in May and November, and I've already seen November's receipt. Obviously, it'll put us slightly over budget for the year. So we will end our year very nicely there with our county millage. Franchise fees current year-to-date is $100,000 ahead of budget year-to-date, $76,000 ahead of the prior year. Our state turnback funds are about $1,000 behind budget year-to-date, $27,000 behind the prior year, or excuse me, ahead of the prior year. County sales tax year-to-date is $394,000 ahead of budget year-to-date, $461,000 ahead of the previous year, and this represents taxes collected for sales in August, collected by the state in September. On the city sales tax, current year-to-date is 224 ahead of budget and $323,000 more than the prior year. In the police department, current year-to-date revenues are $25,000 ahead of budget year-to-date and $54,000 more than the prior year. Timing of our quarterly PSAP, the 911 payments, is going to cause some fluctuation towards the end of the year here, and we actually will have some revenues in this public safety and police department that we won't get until January that will be recognized until December. So there's some timing stuff going on with it. Fire department currently is $9,000 ahead of the budget year-to-date and $77,000 more than the prior year. In Parks and Recreation, our current year-to-date is $53,000 behind budget year-to-date, $86,000 more than the prior year, and their related expenses are currently $141,000 under budget. And in the Senior Wellness Center fees, currently they're $64,000 behind budget year-to-date, $16,000 more than the prior year. And they've really been monitoring their revenue and trying to maintain their expenses to keep them under budget. Their expenses were $67,000 under budget year-to-date. No change there on our miscellaneous income. I've just kind of left that note on there for you. Expenditures in all departments in the general fund remain below budget year-to-date, other than community and economic development, which is over budget year-to-date due to some compensation expenses related to the retirement of our CED director. Because the general fund is not maintained on an accrual basis, the vacation leave and any sort of leave like that, including retirement matches on that, is not accrued, so we have to expense it when we pay it out. Thus, when people, sometimes when we have terminations, especially, or when people leave, especially if they're longtime employees, those payouts tend to cause a fluctuation in our expenses there. Overall, our expenses are $968,000 under budget year-to-date and $229,000 more than the previous year. Sorry, there we go. Councilmember Mazzoni emailed me earlier today and asked me to do a little bit of a deep dive, and he said, it's great you're under budget and expenses, but why and where, particularly in some of the departments where we're pretty far under. And so I just took a quick look at that. In administration, we're under budget year-to-date about $81,000. Some of that is retirement expense where we have budget and people aren't necessarily contributing as much as we budgeted. We're going to have some kind of trends because we've got some payroll accruals going on. So in January, we'll have to accrue some payroll into 2021. Now that we're caught up, we're starting to talk about some of the stuff that we haven't talked about in a long time. We also have some travel expenses that weren't used in 2021, and so that combined with a lot of little, $500,000 kind of things is just kind of adding up into that $81,000. There wasn't anything large and significant there in any particular department. In the police department, we're under budget $310,000. Some of that is holiday and longevity pay that is not paid out until December. That's about $90,000. We also will have some payroll accruals, and they have some vacant positions right now, so that's adding up to about $68,000, plus add the related lot fee expenses to both the holiday and longevity pay and those openings. And then their vehicle leases are about $121,000 under budget. Some of that, I think, had to do with the timing of when they got vehicles and from 20 and things like that. Fire department was under budget $236,000. Again, they've got holiday and longevity pay not being paid till December. Payroll accruals, and while they are not down people, they have had staff out on unpaid leave, whether it was military leave or whatever. And so what that does is reduce the salary expenses. Sometimes it pushes their overtime expenses up. It causes some fluctuations there. They've also got related lot fee expenses that tie into both of those. And they've also had their building, vehicle, and communication system maintenances are all under budget year-to-date. So that's a good thing. We just haven't had any major issues there, it looks like. And parks, they're under budget $141,000. Some of that was salaries at the pool this summer were under budget quite a bit. And their instructor contracts is under budget. I think they haven't had quite as many classes. They've been slowly gearing those back up. So Some of that is just kind of us on the comeback from some of these activities. Those have related revenues that the expense is down, and so is the revenue that would go along with it. They also have some open positions in some of their parks maintenance positions, and so that's causing about $40,000 there. So all understandable and explainable. Nothing that was like a huge line item. It was lots of kind of smaller dollars here and there leading up to all of that. Really quickly, looking at our general fund balance at the end of October, the fund balance was $566,000 over the required minimum. And our current year revenues are currently $743,000 more than our expenses. Hopping over to our street fund, current year-to-date revenues are $12,000 behind budget year-to-date, $19,000 ahead of the prior year. There's some, again, timing stuff with the millage tax. Once we get this November payment in, it'll look much different and will be good for the year. State turnback funds, current year-to-date is $89,000 ahead of budget year-to-date and $77,000 more than the previous year. Both streets and senior services transportation's expenses are under budget year-to-date. In streets department, some of it's timing of projects and a lot of it is personnel expenses. They've got lots of openings going on in public works and streets and sanitation, all three. Current available street fund balance at the end of October was right at $4.9 million. Looking at our sanitation fund, current year-to-date is $19,000 ahead of budget year-to-date and $21,000 more than the previous year. And their expenses are $101,000 under budget year-to-date, $4,000 more than the prior year. That was their operating expenses. Their personnel expenses are $179,000 under budget year-to-date and $4,000 less than the previous year. Current available sanitation fund balance at the end of October is right at $2 million. There was notes in your packet about some of the other funds, but there's not any major changes there, and so that pretty much covers our October financials.
Outstanding. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Mazzoni?
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's more in depth than I was looking for, but much appreciated. So, especially the short notice I gave you. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Outstanding. If there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to accept the financials. I've got a motion and a second to accept the financial statement. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next order of business is the procedural motion. We'll entertain a motion to have all ordinances and resolutions read by title only. We're going to motion second. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. We'll move on to unfinished business. The first item of unfinished business is a sign variance request. Due to the rescheduling of the meeting, the applicants have asked us to defer this meeting until the next council meeting, which, by the way, is 1 week from today. So I'd entertain a motion to defer this until next Monday. We've got a motion second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. And I should have said it had to do with scheduling, and they weren't able to attend this evening. With that, we'll move on to the second reading of Ordinance 1050, establishing an improvement district number 17. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas. An ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1050. An ordinance to establish and lay off the Maumelle Municipal Property Owners Multi-Purpose Improvement District Number 2021-17, the Pinnacle Heights, and for other purposes.
Outstanding. So this is on second reading. We do have representative for the applicant and the applicant here. I'm not sure if y'all wanted to make a statement or just be available if there were any questions, comments, concerns. Is there any discussion on ordinance 1050? Going once, going twice, sold. This will be on third reading at the next city council meeting. Thank you all for coming. Next order of business is the second reading of ordinance 1051, enacting supplemental provisions of the city code. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1051, an ordinance adopting and enacting supplemental provisions of the City Code for the City of Maumelle, Arkansas, providing for the repeal of certain ordinances not included therein, providing for the manner of amending such code, and providing when such code and this ordinance shall become effective.
All right, this is on second reading. If there's no discussion, it'll be on third reading at the next city council meeting. All right, it'll be on third reading at the next city council meeting. With that, we'll move on to new business. The first item of new business that we have is Resolution 2021-36, approving conditional use permit. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, Pulaski County, Arkansas, Resolution Number 2021-36, a resolution granting a conditional use permit for a kiosk-type dog wash facility in a PRD, Planned Residential District, zoning district.
All right, thank you. So this, the resolution was in the packet. We passed out just at the start of the council meeting a list that has a few of the attachments. This is a conditional use that would allow a kiosk-style dog wash in this zoning. For those that were on the study tour in Northwest Arkansas, we saw one of these, and there was some discussion that someone brought about how cool it was, and then I think I said I want to buy one and build one. I'm not doing that. I'm not associated with this. We do have the applicants here that I'm sure are available for any questions, and if you'd like to proactively say something, you can, or just be available if there's any questions. All right, we'll go ahead and open the floor. Any discussion on this resolution? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2021. What? Who? Oh, Councilmember Gardner. People wait until the last minute and then hit the button.
Or mayors don't look at the thing to see that.
I've got three screens telling me who might hit the button.
No, I was just going to say, as a dog owner, I will happily use someone else's facility to wash my dog instead of my own. So thank you. So with that, I will make a motion to adopt. Is it 2116 or 36? 36. Okay, the new one had 16. I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-36.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Councilmember Holt?
Just what kind of expense, initial expense to put this in, and what kind of expense to maintain it? Who will be is it volunteer, or who maintains it?
Well, it'll be a for-profit entity, and so the owners or their employees or staff would be the ones to maintain it. I don't know that it's a very appropriate question to ask them what the business costs would be to start up.
So it is not a city? No.
It is not a city operation. It is a for-profit kiosk. They're kind of neat. You get to go in there and wash your dog without dirtying up your bathtub or yard if you want to use a hose. But no, it is not a city. All we're doing is approving a conditional use that would allow this facility to go into the particular zone. Did that answer your question, Councilmember Holt?
I believe so. Thank you, Mr.
Outstanding. Is there any additional discussion on Resolution 2021-36?
Well, I would just like to say that, with my lights on anyway, they have these all over Austin, which is very cool, and my daughter takes advantage of it quite often to bathe her 100-pound lab. so they are very handy. I'm excited about it. Oh, I haven't seen them in Hot Springs, yeah.
Outstanding. So we have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2021-36. Is there any discussion? I've moved to roll call, which means I don't get pinged if you're hitting your button. So speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, all those in favor of adopting this resolution, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you all, and it sounds like you have a few customers already waiting for you all to move in. Next order of business is Resolution 2021-37, recognizing Juneteenth as a holiday. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, Pulaski County, Arkansas. Resolution number 2021-37, a resolution to recognize the Juneteenth holiday as a formal paid holiday of celebration in the City of Maumelle and for other purposes.
Thank you. All right, as y'all may know, the state and federal government recently declared Juneteenth a federal holiday and a state holiday accordingly. And I am in favor and am proposing that we do the same thing and recognize this as a city holiday. I think that my thoughts on this, and I kind of put this in a whereas, but that I think Juneteenth is something that should be celebrated by all Americans that value freedom and liberty and believe that all men are created equal and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think that each 4th of July, as Americans, we come together and celebrate freedom. And I think that each Juneteenth we should come to celebrate freedom as well. And so the impact of this resolution would be that specifically that it would become a paid holiday for city employees, offices shut down, and recognition and celebration of freedom and the end of slavery in the United States. I'll go ahead and open the floor for discussion. Councilmember Mazzoni.
Motion to approve.
I've got a motion to approve Resolution 2021-37. Is there any additional discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Resolution 2021-37 is approved. Next order of business, thank you very much for that, by the way. The next resolution is Resolution 2021-38, accepting release of easements and quitclaim deeds. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2021-38, agreeing to accept release of easements and quitclaim deeds from Central Arkansas water and facility sites.
As CAW has decommissioned their the wells that were from Maumelle Water Management, they're wanting to quitclaim these properties some of these properties to the city. I believe just those mentioned here, and so this is a motion to accept that. Madam City Attorney, did you have something to add?
I was just gonna say, many of these properties are surrounded by city property already. Not all of them are, but a number of them are. And so that would, I guess, be the logical reason why they would just quitclaim those rights back to the city. They have been restored already to their natural condition.
Councilmember Shin?
So the only thing we would have is just a regular general upkeep. We have no other expense.
Right, and at this point, like, if you look at it on, from Google Maps, Google Earth, you can't even really tell it's there.
All right.
At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-38.
So moved.
Second.
I've got a motion second. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. The next item for business is the first reading of Ordinance 1052, amending the city code regarding grading. As this, first of all, there's no intent for this item or the next item to suspend the rules and have 3 readings at this meeting. I think there was some miscommunication at the time, which was Veterans Day, and I came down with the Rona, and we got our wires mixed up a little bit, and anyways, so that, I'm not asking for that. And then this ordinance is designed to allow grading. What we found through some discussions is there may be some unintended consequences that we're still trying to work out. At this time, I'd request a motion to just go ahead and table this until the next council meeting. Hopefully, we can have something at the next council meeting that may plug a few holes. If not, then we may ask for it to be tabled again. But for the time being, I'm requesting that it be tabled until the next city council meeting. Councilmember Holt?
Motion to table till the next meeting.
All right. Second. I've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item of business is the first reading of ordinance 1053, amending the master street plan. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1053, amending the master street plan for the City of Maumelle, Arkansas.
Thank you. So this is, I'm trying to pull up the map. What this does is remove, currently in the select site, there is some proposed roads that go right through the select site, which would have been of value if that site were going to be parceled out to have that road right through it. But right now, the traction we're getting and the direction, it looks like this will be, the value in this land is as a whole piece of property, and so building a road right through it really diminishes that for the purposes that we're trying to do. And of course, we have some indication as to what may go there based on a recent resolution that the council adopted. Anyways, we're just requesting that and this is a city request, that the master street plan be amended to remove those roads. Is there any discussion on that? Councilmember Gardner?
Just one quick question. Is there any reason that we would need to expedite this? Obviously, we can't tonight since there's only 5 of us here, but at the next council meeting, is there any reason to have the second and third readings, or is it okay to go through the whole process?
At this time, I think I think the timing still works out, that it'll be just fine to run that course. We're still keeping our fingers on the pulse as to what may be going on. It may be, but I don't think so. My goal is to just let it run its course just like everything else.
All right, thank you.
Is there any additional discussion? If not, this will be on second reading at the next city council meeting, which is way off to next Monday. Next item of business is the first reading of ordinance 1054, amending Maumelle City Code. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1054, an ordinance amending Appendix C of the Maumelle City Code to provide for the fire safety review, testing, and inspection fees, and for other purposes.
All right. Do we have a representative of I see Chief Ezel running in here. In hindsight, I'm not sure we relayed the different meeting date. The fire department has looked at some of their fees that they don't charge, and compared them to surrounding areas and made a proposal for some of these fees. Chief?
Yeah, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. I mean, I won't say we've been abused, but we've had some people use us kind of as a punch list on businesses, because we were like almost, if not the only entity, one of very few entities in the state of Arkansas that don't charge, whenever we have to go back repeatedly. So we're just looking to try to curtail that, and also, it produces a little bit of revenue for the city as well.
You'll note that with a lot of these fees, the first inspection is free. In some instances, if we have to come back and inspect it a second time, it's free. But what we see here, and with the fire department and with code enforcement, is there's often and street and a lot of different things. Our fees are so low, or in the case of these fire fees, non-existent, that they'll make a minor tweak, call for an inspection, everyone goes out, inspects it, determines they're nowhere near ready. Like, why are you calling us? Well, then we show up the next day and the next day or the next week, and it just becomes abusive and a drain on resources. With the fire department specifically, it means oftentimes they're running a fire company out to that site to inspect it, which means they're not necessarily in the optimal position to respond to emergency calls. And then we can, if there's any questions about the specific fees and stuff, we can bring the fire marshal in, I believe,
He's actually a little bit laid up right now. He just had knee surgery, so.
Okay.
He was gonna be here the night we were scheduled to have the last one, then he had surgery the next day, so. Right now, he's a little out of service. He's watching this live, though.
He's watching? All right, Councilmember Gardner?
Chief, you said these were based off of other cities, I guess similar to Maumelle. Is that how y'all kind of researched it?
Yeah, if you look, was that included in the packet?
The memo, huh?
Okay, some of the surrounding cities, we're still gonna be significantly lower than what other cities are charging around us. Like I say, the biggest point, we went to one particular business 7 times. They would fix whatever we told them was wrong, and then we'd come back and check something else, and it was wrong, and they would, so that's kind of what we've been dealing with. But when people found out that we didn't charge anything, they were like, oh, I mean, legitimately, they were using us as a punch list to get things done, but it just becomes a taxation on us throughout the daytime, or you'd get a call Friday morning saying, hey, we want to open Monday, can you get by here today? Yeah, we'll try. I mean, we try to go above and beyond to try to help businesses out, but I mean, this is just, a step in the right direction, I think. The fire marshal's office came up with this, and they have my full support on it. So.
Okay, thank you.
And we can get you that information. It had a memo with some comparables and other things like that, just so that you know where it fits in. And yeah, we can
one of the great things about Chief Eaton's part of the Fire Marshals Association for the state of Arkansas, so you make a lot of contact with fire marshals all over the state. So he's done a lot of research and looked into things around the state. And like I say, we're still going to come in significantly lower than what other cities are charging. I mean, we're not looking to make a ton of money off people. We're just looking to kind of get back some fees for our time.
And of course, to disincentivize multiple re-inspections. All right, this will be on second reading at the next council meeting if there's no further discussion. Outstanding. Thank you, Chief. That concludes new business. We'll move on to mayor's comments. Just a heads up. This is city council meeting week, apparently. We've got a budget meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in the Blue Room, and a budget meeting Thursday, also in the Blue Room. If, following that meeting on Thursday, if everything's good to go, the plan is to present the budget to the city council to be voted on at the next city council meeting, which, as I've mentioned once or twice, is next Monday. If that doesn't work, that's okay. We still have another meeting in December. And more meetings next year, but we don't want to go there, if we can all avoid it. So just a reminder, those two meetings. This Saturday is Christmas in Maumelle. The Lions Club has their pancake breakfast at 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. My notes say p.m. Santa will not be there for 14 hours. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. A little bit different this day. If you're bringing your kids, you'll be taking your own pictures with Santa, and it's free to do that. You're just paying for pancakes. But just a heads up to anyone, if you think we're not going to have a professional photographer lined up. So your prints you can get yourself. Also at 5 o'clock, the Christmas parade will be in Maumelle. It should be neat this year because it's at 5 p.m. It should be getting dark. The idea is that some of the floats will be able to have lights on them. As a reminder, it's free to participate. If you have a vehicle that you'd like to put in the parade, then you're welcome to contact Maumelle Parks and Rec and just sign up. It's a lot of fun. I know some folks like decorating, so who knows. Also, y'all should have a copy of the new budget book for tomorrow night. Some of you may have heard Liz explaining it before the meeting. We had to make adjustments. We miscalculated the city's portion of the family coverage for health insurance. So we've made those adjustments, and rather than pick out every other page, we just kind of redid the book because insurance is something that we pay employees in all departments, and so it affected the whole book. There's a few other minor changes we can get into it, but just that's your big broad brush at that. Also, there's some changes in the street department, some things that we've more fine-tuned. So take a look at that. We will have meals served at the budget meeting. With that, that concludes mayor's comments. We'll go on to council member comments. Council member Shin.
I've had a few people reach out to me, and I've actually tested part of this. The left turn signals on Rolling Oaks and Odom North onto the boulevard. If you're not the third car, you're there for a long time.
Yeah, we have, so we've been working a whole lot with North Little Rock, and Rhythm Engineering is the out-of-state consultants. One of the things we found is that the adaptive system, just as an overview, we gave it a while to adapt. It wasn't adapting to where I felt that it was an improvement. And so we've gone through multiple meetings with them to really make sure that, because the city of Maumelle doesn't manage those through the contract, the city of North Little Rock manages those. And then really they're not managing them. They're serving as the liaison to Rhythm Engineer, to the contractors who are maintaining the lights. So we've had a few Zoom calls to make sure that we understand how the system is working on the back end, the adaptive elements, try and troubleshoot some of those things, and then see if we can't streamline them. I reached out to them specifically and was speaking with North Little Rock's traffic signal engineer today about that light in particular. Okay. One of the things we found, and we think it's worked in some instances, what those lights do is as a car pulls up, it's kind of neat. If you pull up the system and it's got the camera on it, it'll recognize a certain number of cars back. What we think one of the problems was is it didn't push that back far enough, so it might only pick up, say, 3 cars. And then it runs that cycle, and if at the end of that cycle it recognizes, oh look, there's 3 cars here again, real quick, maybe next time it says we're only seeing 3 cars, but we're going to budget for 4 cars.
Well, the problem we're having is you pull up, in my case it was on Sunday morning, and I sat for 6 minutes for 5 cars to go through the intersection in that 6-minute period. So
yeah,
when I checked this out, that's what I found.
Yeah, and it's what we found too. So the way it would have worked, rough estimate, is that first one, it might have let 1 car, it might have timed it for 1 car.
They're not letting that first car go until the 3rd car gets there.
And then
so it's like it's shooting over the first car.
Okay, we can check that if you're thinking it's shooting over. What we've done is we've gone and extended some of them back.
Well, they adjusted that one and the one at Fuller in North Little Rock at the same time. And the one and at first, they both seemed to work, but with time, the one here in Maumelle has gotten worse. The one at Fuller still functions, so.
Okay. Yeah, we'll, look into that. Excuse me. Thank you for that. What I'm doing, is I put in it's funny, I use C-Click-Fix, I put in a ticket, and then it's coming back to me. So I'm putting in a request to myself, but it's an open public ticket that allows us to then follow up with it, because we have to not only tell them what the problem is, but follow back up to see if they recognize what the problem, and then follow back up and follow back up and follow back up. So we're doing that, pretty intensely, because I'm about to pull my hair out every time I encounter one of those situations where you're sitting there wondering why the light isn't going. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay.
Yes,
One
sir.
more thing. Can we put out what the city regulations are on golf carts on the streets?
Sure, it's on
And on
Unicode
Okay.
right now.
There's a lot of false information being put out right now by people who believe they're knowledgeable. And so I know the police have been doing their Tuesday traffic education program. Maybe we could put it in that.
Sure.
And,
Well, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Just to refresh everyone's memory as to what you can and can't do with golf carts. It looks like Chief Pickard is taking
it
notes.
under there.
Thank you. Any additional council member comments? Councilmember Gardner?
Was there a traffic committee rescheduled, or is that not being rescheduled?
No, I've got a meeting this Wednesday with North Little Rock folks who have an alternative theory. I don't know what it is, that might address this issue. Yeah, we were planning on just taking down the stop sign on Diamond Park and White Oak Crossing and making it a two-way instead of a four-way, because it is not very nice coming in evening rush hour traffic. I've been out there multiple times. I went out last week, not a great week to check because there was no wait because of Thanksgiving week. And it took me a few minutes until that sunk in. I was thinking there was no problem. Yeah, so we're meeting with them to see if there's an alternative that might help everything. They've been running traffic studies. We've been talking about it. Depending on what that is, we'll follow that up with a traffic and parking committee to either request to go back to a two-way or adopt those recommendations or some modified recommendations on that. But good question. Thank you. Any additional council member comments? Madam City Attorney.
Just wanted to point out that 82-5 is our section on operation of golf carts. In the event anybody just wants to take a look at that. I don't have any other comments.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk.
Well, I wasn't, but I suppose. Just to give a feedback on our hometown Thanksgiving after COVID, I'd like to say that it was a success. We sold roughly 80 to-go meals, wouldn't you say, Councilmember Terry? And we also seated over 130 families and fed them. So it was a successful year. Thanks to everybody who helped participate, Mayor and Councilmember Williams specifically. That's all.
Outstanding. Thank you. Just checking out the FYIs. City offices will be closed for Thanksgiving. That's what the notes say here. All right, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. I've got a motion. Did I hear a second? I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow night.